Hello and welcome to Conversations with Irma. This is your place. This is your stage. This is your platform. And here, excellence, greatness, and impact are displayed. And today, I am so excited because I have a special guest joining me. He has formerly worked with BBC, with Forbes Africa, with CNBC Africa, and now he is a consultant and a global moderator. And that can only be the one and only Georgie. Welcome on the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
It's just a pleasure and a privilege to have you.
Thank you. Same for me.
So Georgie, I can't believe you lived in Rwanda for all those years.
Yeah, almost a decade. But I'm almost here maybe about twice or thrice a month.
Yeah?
Maybe, yeah, at least a minimum of once a month. I'm back in the country. So it feels like I never left.
Yeah, you are always welcome here.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna ask you to just take us through your journey, your career. Like, how did you choose to come to Rwanda?
Life pushed me to come here. I'd never come here. I'd never heard about Rwanda before. I didn't know much about the country back in 2011, 12. And I remember a friend of mine had worked here with a company called Afri Delivery, where it started as something else. It was 250 taxi 250. He just came with a bunch of ideas. So I think at one point he really needed to expand his business. And he wondered who are the best people to do it. So he thought of Kenyans that he had worked with in the past. And he was a Kenyan himself. So he just asked me, come, there's this huge opportunity in Rwanda. It's a largely untapped market. And at that time, I just finished university. So, you know how people in uni are just, everyone is just, ideas. You're just crazy. You want to do everything. So I just jumped on a bus and I came 24 hours on the bus. Through the borders, came, and yeah, that's how the journey started.
That's amazing. But you did actuarial science?
Yes, I did actuarial science in Jomo Kenyatta University back in 2007. My age.
You're old.
So back in 2007 and then finished in 2000. I graduated in 2011. So my background is in finance, economics, financial economics and planning around that, but I barely used it in my life.
So even the opportunity for you to come to Rwanda was not related to what you did in school?
Not really. He wanted more advice on logistics and just helping with planning. So maybe 10% of what I studied in school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you, if I'm asking you to take me through the transition, like actuarial science, then there's something that you did about fashion. I love fashion, so I want to hear about that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did it go?
So fashion was during, like right after high school, it was more of, so that same friend that I'm telling you, he also had a, and then I would be the one planning photo shoots around it, planning how to capture different parts of the country according to whatever clothes we had, designers featuring different designers, stylists, makeup artists and camera people. So that's how it all started. And then now the problem is when I came to Rwanda, I stayed here so long that the business in Kenya died because you have to physically be there for things to move a certain way. So, and then I didn't have the money at the time to move back and forth. So the business died a natural death, but we felt like, even the people that we had worked with, I felt like we had made an impact for that time.
Yeah.
Like everything has its own time. If it dies, it wasn't meant to happen, but it served its purpose at the time.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then you came here, and what was your work like when you arrived in Rwanda, in Kigali?
Yeah. So the gentleman worked for a company called Tele10, right? So Tele10 is the one that houses TV. Now it has TV10, Radio 10, DSTV, all those. At the time, he wanted help with event planning. I'd done maybe a bit of event planning when I was still in Nairobi. So it was nothing that I had done before, but he just needed us to coordinate and give new ideas for events and execute and give strategy, invite people. And mind you, we didn't even know the corporate scene here.
Yeah.
He wanted it to be very corporate, where you have like all these after parties that come, you curate something nice for them. I hadn't seen anything past that, so very blinded by what the possibilities of that particular thing could be. And then I remember the first event we did, I can't remember where the party was, but I remember it was on Kachiru. It was in Kachiru, and we had invited people. I think 4 of them showed up.
Wow.
We were preparing for 100 people.
And
only 4 showed up. We ate that food. Ate that food so much. We were so stressed. We were completely disoriented because we didn't know anything, and we were just going by what we thought could work. I think that was a lesson, and then we started just changing, and we were just in.
And was it just the 2 of you, or you had
No,
a team?
we had a team. We were maybe like 5 of us.
Yeah.
5 plus the team at Tele10 that maybe occasionally came to help. Yeah, but we are the ones who, I would say, he had the vision. The guy is called Afshan. He had the vision.
Yes.
And then the rest of us were just implementing what he thought.
Just
and giving
creativity.
ideas. Yeah, and winging it. Yeah, because we had never been here.
And then after that?
Then after that, I think after a while, that's when we started to see like this side was really not making any sense, and we were not even being exploited how we would, like our potential was not being, tapped into. And then I think if I remember correctly, we went to Tele10, and that's when we were speaking with some people, and the managing director at the time is called Cedric Pierre Louis. I will never forget.
Yeah.
And he said, why don't you go to the radio and just sit, and you guys can do like a Saturday show. So I remember we used to go, me, the guy Afshon, he was a DJ. He was a DJ as well, the guy who invited us, and a businessman. So one guy was called Neville, who was a show host. He had done radio before, and he was very good with entertainment. Then I would come on as Big George Saturdays, and I would give gossip, like rumors about entertainment gossip that's happening around the world.
Is it what you were spreading?
Can you imagine after studying actuarial science for 4 tough years?
4 tough years.
I know. And then so it was like gossip. What kind of gossip is there in the industry? Oh, I don't know. Little Bow Wow has just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. But there was a place for that,
Yes.
People really,
there's some people
that, yeah. And then now he was the DJ who would also come in and we would speak. So every Saturday we had that, and it was run by the guy called Neville. So we started with that, and then I think the conversation now started evolving into, why don't you do a business, like maybe 5 minutes of business news in English news, which had now been introduced. Back then, 2011, 2012, that's when English was now settling in as a proper communication language, and it had not been made the official language yet, so to speak. But so now English was coming in, so a lot of media houses were now embracing shows in English. So I think Radio 10 was way ahead of the curve. So yeah, that's how it started with, okay, come and do 5 minutes, and then it became, why don't you do your own business show, which was 15 minutes. And then so now when the TV came, the first people to be asked to do English news were the guys who were already on radio.
Yes.
Affordable labor, and you just start. They didn't have to train other people. Training is costly.
Yes.
And then that's how things started.
Yeah, that's how you started, like
media properly.
And from Tele 10 to CNBC, from CNBC to BBC.
Yes.
And Forbes came.
CNBC and Forbes are under the same company in Africa, under ABN. So it's the ABN family, ABN 360, where they have CNBC, Forbes, Forbes Woman, Forbes Africa. Yeah. So when you work for one, you work with the other if you'd like. Yeah.
With the other.
Yeah.
So did you have anything specifically that inspired you to be part of the media, or you found yourself in media?
Poverty. poverty was a nice inspiration. He said, "You'll be broke your whole life if you don't do anything." Yeah. So I think at the time we really were not making any money. Or doing the other shows. I think back then, I remember going to the bank, and the bank, they asked for your pay slips, and I wanted to get a loan so I could buy a laptop.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just any laptop. I wanted to have a MacBook. But my salary in 2012 was 125,000, which I thought was a lot. But anything is a lot if you go from zero.
Yes.
To 100. So now someone has said, here's 125K. And then straight after a few months, I went to the bank and said, I need a laptop. They're looking at my salary. They're like, how, where, with what? What are you going to buy the laptop with? You know? So I think that was one motivating factor. It was, I really needed to just make something of my life.
So you were grabbing any opportunity that was available.
Anything that was available. And at that time, proper desperate as well, where you didn't know what opportunity would come, what opportunities lay ahead of you. Whatever just presented itself as something you could do, you go with it. You're not going to use your degree to do anything. Even when I came and I was struggling, my family was supporting me because I refused to go back to Nairobi.
Yeah, I remember when we were growing up, there was this trend, like if you did science or something like, difficult, you were considered as brilliant, compared to those who were in the creative, like, learning history and like media. They were considered not so smart, which is, it was so wrong. It is still wrong. So did you get to have those moments where you were like, okay, I did actuarial science and now I'm in media, like, settling for less?
Yeah.
You had those moments, or?
Yeah, I think even my family obviously had that because they'd spent so much money taking me to school.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a cheap course. It was an expensive course. And so it's like, you're not going to use your degree to do anything. Even when I came and I was struggling, my family was supporting me because I refused to go back to Nairobi. So they were supporting me here, and I went and did my master's here. And they were still asking, so you're not going to use the degree that you got to do something within that line? In my head, I wasn't even I tried, I'm sure I tried looking for stuff within my degree, but I didn't find anything at the time. So I really felt very, back then, having an actuarial science degree was a big deal, but you just have the paper, and then what do you do with the paper, There's no one you can take it to. Even when you take it to them, you still need the experience and whatnot. So I never utilized my degree until I went into CNBC.
Yeah.
Now at CNBC, when you do business news, you need your knowledge of maths and economics to understand things deeper than other journalists maybe. Because everyone has their own specialty, right? So I think it helped in that sense, where I was able to become now a proper business journalist, which now led me to maybe today.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So listening to you closely, just trying to think of your journey, and there's two things that I notice. The first thing is the gift, so a gift that you have, like your natural ability, can take you somewhere. But the moment you get there, you will need skills, so nothing is wasted. So because you had the knowledge, you had the finance, you had the accounting, the mathematics, it served you, but you needed your gift, which was just being Georgie, being able to communicate. And the combination, like, look at where you are.
Thank you. I'll use this part of the clip to send to all my relatives.
They have to listen.
Yeah. Now they're extremely supportive, but that's a really nice way to look at it. Thank you.
Yeah. And there's something I love to say. Mental health is something we live with, like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep checking yourself, and you have to keep asking yourself, am I mentally okay?
Am I okay? Yeah.
Am I okay? And don't think it's something strange, like it happens to everyone.
Yes, true.
You can be in a good place, like some things could be working in your life, but other parts of your life, are not so okay, and you have to deal with it. Yeah. So, do you have any tips or ways that you overcame your mental breakdowns or anything that was putting you down?
I think now I can handle mental issues better now, because first of all, like it's a very, most of the time it's not easy to convince yourself that this is a temporary situation, but most of the time it's a temporary situation that feels like it's going to be there forever. So I always remind myself I had something like this before and I'm going to get through it. How? I don't know, but I need my mind to cooperate and we see how to go about it. I have a proper support system around me. I think that's very crucial for a lot of people. Most of the time, you don't want people to prescribe, tell you, oh, snap out of it, it's nothing, you're worried about. Nah, you want someone to say, okay, I understand what you're going through. Maybe let's talk through a few things.
Yeah.
And then just putting yourself in situations that make you extremely happy. So if it's travel, try it. If you're able to, just travel. If you're able to go somewhere and listen to some music or relax or just go be by yourself, most of the time people respond differently. There's some people that have mental issues that don't want to be by themselves. They don't want to be in their thoughts. But there's some who love being in their thoughts so they can just unwind without hearing from people. So I really found pockets of people and things I like to do that normally help me just slowly come out of it.
Yeah.
And then when you're able to completely get out of it, you say, okay, so this is how I handled it, and then you have it at the back of your mind. Whenever it happens again, this is how I'll do it.
Yeah. So there's this, should I say, famous saying, like, happiness doesn't depend on anyone. You have to be happy by yourself. Really want to know what you think about that. Like, how do we find happiness in our own selves? How do you define happiness?
For me, I think happiness, personally, happiness is seeing other people around me comfortable, happy, successful. So if you can go somewhere and you don't hear one complaint from anyone, like the sun could be shining so harsh. Someone is like, oh, the sun is nice today. It's a bit, yeah. Oh, let me have some, let me apply some sunscreen. It's a bit harsher than normal, but the sun is nice. Or let's sit under the shade. It was colder last month, but this month, like, not complaining, just being positive around things that other people might complain about. That for me is what I define as happiness. Like you just see the good in things around you, and it's because inside you're just calm. You're inside, everything is okay. So that's what I define as happiness. Also, my family. So we, like, especially with this like age where we're in, and even given our history and of course histories of different countries, you find that you don't have maybe different family members, right? But the ones that you're with, you're just happy to hear from them, to get a call from them, something like that. And that I define that as happiness, when you can see your family happy to just speak with you and be with you, whoever the family member is. And then just happiness for me is even a nice message from the bank saying some money has been deposited into your account.
I love that.
That's, happiness. Happiness is kicking a ball around, playing with your pets, is being in love is nice happiness as well. So that's what I define as happiness. It's more of feelings than it is things.
Yeah. Like that attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Like, like being present, like being in the moment. Yeah, so many things can be there, but sometimes we don't focus on that. We want to focus on what's not happening.
What's not there.
What's not there.
Yeah.
And something with being addicted to the future or something that's not there yet.
Yeah.
It has a tendency of moving away from you and causes you anxiety.
That's true.
But the moment you focus on what's there, you start seeing more experiencing more. Nice. So I believe what you're saying.
Nice. Love it.
I believe what you're saying. So I want to know, like, a lot of people can call you successful. How do you define success? What is success to you?
Not yet. I think I really don't. I really, honestly, I feel like if you have to say, I am so successful, it beats the purpose. Success is like, other people see it, you just experience it. You know, like other people see like, oh, I want to be like that. But if you ask like some people who are already well, who you see as successful, they really don't consider themselves. They know they're successful. They know they're maybe celebrities, or they know they've done some work, but they're constantly working. So they don't have time to stop and say, I'm very successful. So a lot of people, like, for me, success is not even, it's more of a feeling. You just feel like you're able to open more doors because you know you're at this point in your life. That's what success feels like. Success feels like you have more access to things and people and experiences just because of maybe the work that you've done or how the past couple of years have been. Success is also just waking up and saying, I want to go to Italy today for dinner, and you leave. You know,
you
like,
have options.
success gives you options. There we go. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly how success,
Yeah.
that what success is.
Yeah.
Also, success is like the people around you saying, you're doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I love that you mentioned that something about opening more doors, because I believe success is always connected to other people.
Yeah.
The moment you start blessing more people, being useful to many people, like that's actually a measure of success.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
So now I believe you have the same heart and the same burden to look around you, look at the generation we're in. So let's talk about that a little bit. If you look at the generation that we're in, the age we're in, we have these mental issues like, depression, and it's crazy. It's high level. According to yourself, like, what are the causes? People are not okay. People are not happy.
Yeah. And it cuts across different demographics. So the younger people now, I feel like it affects the younger people now a bit more or harsher because they don't know anything else. They know they came into a world of social media where right from the onset when you join, it's how many likes can I get? Who else is looking at my content? And what can I do with my content? How come a friend of mine has been at the beach 4 times in a month and I've never been ever since I was a child? You know, just tiny things. How come that phone is clearer than mine? How can I get a better phone? How do they get the money to get the phone? Just so many things. Social media is one of the worst platforms for comparison that we've ever had.
I agree.
My generation, so millennials, without saying my age, millennials, we were right at the intersection of landline and no phones and yellow pages and now the digital age. So we know both. We know you can completely detach and no one will find you. We know how to use a feature phone that doesn't have a screen, and then you know this other side that just exposes you to the world.
Yes.
So I feel like a lot of mental health issues are based on being completely dissatisfied with where you are, but blaming it mostly on yourself for not yourself, your parents, your whatever's around you, for not being that other person. Most of the time, it just needs proper reflection and staying in your own lane, doing work your own way, consistently with a certain level of quality to just reach wherever you're envying, right? But the thing as well about most of these mental issues is that it's not a one-size-fits-all, so you can't prescribe one solution for everyone. But I would just say everyone needs to take time. A lot of things just need you to take time to understand where you are in life and what you want to achieve, and then work there step by step. Most of the time, a lot of young guys as well, and we fall in trap, even people older than me, is that you want to finish school, but immediately you finish, you want to have a car, a house. How is that going to happen? How are you going to have a car, have a house, have enough money in the bank, and still have an investment at the same time? It's impossible. So a lot of people want to bundle what success looks like into one and have it happen all at once, but it's not possible. You need to properly just compartmentalize what your life looks like and then work towards goals, even if it's almost at the same time, but like give yourself time for one thing to work and then another and then another. If you can't do everything at once, do it, but just give yourself space to breathe.
You don't have to put yourself under so much pressure and start like making crazy decisions to achieve goals in, like, just set reasonable goals. It doesn't have to be unreasonable.
Exactly.
You know, I would say to myself, I'm going to set a very small goal that I can't miss it.
Yeah.
But if you keep like...
But you also need to like dream. Sometimes you're told, okay, dream big at least. But you can dream big, but most of the time, even when you think about when you dream only one dream that you remember.
Exactly.
In a year or 2 years, you know.
Yeah.
So dream big, but dream, like, have big dreams. But not every dream is a big dream. Or it might be a big dream to you, but to someone else it's like, no, we can achieve that without too much resource or thinking too much. So you can dream big, but also be very careful not to burn out.
Exactly.
Burn out resources, burn out mentally, burn out all your cash, burn out all your friendships, just because you're trying to do everything to such a huge level. And you can do one big thing and 5 tiny things that make impact.
Exactly, I agree with you. And we need to also celebrate the small wins. You know, those small goals, it can bring you satisfaction. You know, don't wait too long to celebrate yourself. Like even the small wins, you know, it's worth being celebrated. We don't really need the comparison, the pressure, because I totally agree with you. You look at people, you're like, they're so young, they're so talented, but they're under pressure, they're not happy. Like, can you just chill? Like,
yeah.
Can you chill?
It will come, yeah, exactly.
I totally agree with you, yeah.
Social media right now, you're right, it's a showcase of the best version of yourself.
So there is the social media. We have seen, should I call it perfection? Because they sell us a perfect image in everything. So we have social media, but we also have the reality of life. How do we get the balance? Do you even think or believe there is such a thing as balance?
Absolutely. There's balance between life, there's balance between... now the trend on TikTok now is, how do I have a nice career? How do I travel and still have a nice relationship? It's a trend on TikTok now, but you can have proper balance if you just dedicate enough time to it in a day. Social media right now, you're right, it's a showcase of the best version of yourself. But also that's also moving where people now, you're seeing people that have podcasts and people that come on screen and tell you, you know, how they were not okay. There's a proper audience for that because people are not okay. A lot of people are not okay. So the highlights have that place, but now constantly you're starting to see that the people in life that actually have their lives 100% together are very tiny in the world. Like people have real issues, but they only give you the best. Even sometimes we've had instances where you went to a trip to Vegas, Miami, Maldives, whatever, and you had the worst time booking a hotel, the people treated you badly, whatnot, but you only posted a picture of the beach.
Yeah.
You know, like you will not tell people what the issue was.
That is
Maybe
so
your
true.
money disappeared, your passport had an issue, whatever happened, but you just post a picture and say, #blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
You know,
blue water, like
yeah.
it's just, yeah.
And then so now balance now is like for you to let your audience know, okay, if you want that. Some people don't want that, and it's okay. You know, like some people just want the highlights. I post one picture per year and I go. But so there's a place as well for people to actually come and say, hey, we had a tough time in the Maldives. The one time we got to see the beach, there was someone chasing us or whatnot. So there's really a space, and I think I encourage a lot more people to just really know that a lot of social media is highlights.
Yeah.
It's a cleaned up version. Yeah.
I believe that's why they make it super short.
Yeah, 15 seconds.
15 seconds. We have to pile up, like combine all the beautiful moments, you know, just in 15 seconds.
That's true.
So I agree with you, like taking time, not comparing yourself, just accepting your reality.
That's true.
And try to find the good thing that's happening, you know, in your present. You know, don't really, I always say that to myself, and I love saying that to young people, do not live addicted to an image, you know, just try to live in the moment. You know, you have that big dream, you have the big goals, all that, but don't waste your present moment as well. So, and I believe that's balance, as you're talking about it.
That's true.
So we're talking career, talking life. And there's someone probably watching us who's like, I want to know if I want to choose a certain career, I want to choose a certain path. Could be your like you or a different career. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Okay, one of the worst questions I ever hear is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? If someone was to ask me that 5 years ago, it would definitely have been a lie, because I'm not where, I even thought I would be. I'm the worst person to ask for career advice, because I never went by anything I ever thought I would be.
Wow.
I started off with finance, went into journalism, went into like anchoring and presenting, reporting, moderating, traveling, to now content creation and consultancy in a span of less than 10 years. So I believe it's easier for someone to map out what kind of talent they have and then build. Of course, there's a huge number of people that still have their degrees from school. You could see where that is going. There's some degrees, so to speak, things have evolved so much that for you to use your degree, you'd have to do a refresher course or do maybe another certification, to improve what you already studied. But it's nice base, it's nice foundation. I mean, you encourage everyone to have a good education. But there is now the realities of life now that have changed what we knew as education back in the day.
I agree.
And then what most people don't want to say is that most of the time when you ask someone, so what drives you in life? They say passion, and say, shut up. Just say the truth. Say it's money. I'm driven by money and I am driven by money. So be clear about what drives you and work with that in mind. If it's passion, if you want to help people, some people have no business helping anyone else. They just want to make money and they're good. They're not hurting anyone. They're not doing anything wrong, but they just want to make money, live in their own house, do whatever they want, and that's fine. That's your life. So you really have to find out what drives you. If you're driven by maybe taking, like our book club, like taking books to kids and making sure everyone reads, do that. That will give you the satisfaction you need in life. If you want to just make your money and have a big bank account, do that. If you want to travel, do that. If you want to do what you studied in school, do that. And you can do all these things as long as you don't burn out. So that's what the balance is. And I can say you can make a career. You'd rather make a career out of something you love doing than something that you feel every morning when you wake up, you're like, oh my God, I need 30 days to get paid for this, So a career, I would say, like, base your career on either what you have or talents that you see yourself building. Yeah,
I totally agree with you. And there's something Oprah said, that do what you can do, or like what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Ah, there we go. Yeah,
so sometimes,
that's a nice way, yeah.
Sometimes you have that passion, you have what you love, but you can't do what you love. So work with what you have at the moment, and sometimes build up to what you actually want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So I agree with you.
Yeah.
So we can't go without talking about our dear continent, Africa.
Yes.
And there's something you said, Georgie. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I want to quote you.
Okay.
You said something.
Okay.
Young Africans are not just young guys discussing youth issues. We are a formidable group of people with technical know-how to push the world forward.
That was me?
That was you.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, I think what I was trying to say was, most of the time when you have these huge forums, let's say like a Commonwealth forum or an African forum, you find that the youth have been given like, so everything is happening in a big forum, and then the youth are given a room to go discuss your issues. And then when you finish, come join, the adults,
yes,
so to speak. But as we progress, you've seen like the youth now that are coming into the scene and that are slowly building and becoming like people in society. They're the ones who are really determining a lot that happens in the world. And they're young people. So what I was basically trying to say is, we're not just people based on our age. It's young people making real life solutions with real life solutions to real life problems. Some of the problems the older people cannot solve at all. They don't have the know-how. They're not on ground. They don't speak to other young people. They don't have that sense of what's going to happen in 50, 60 years. They're not going to be there. God bless everyone's soul. But I was just saying, young people need to really understand that we are magic right now, and we are the people who are guiding, growth on the continent, and showing the world how exactly Africa looks. And now with the trends and social media and digital, no one else can do it. Like, no one else can show the world like us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're the ones who move like from the boardrooms to on ground, and we showcase beaches, and we showcase conference rooms, we showcase fashion, music, serious issues, science, technology. Of course, with a lot of guidance from the people that have been there before, and respect for the people that have been there for years and years and decades. But we are also a very crucial asset. Very crucial.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So we are facing a lot of challenges, issues as Africans. And sometimes, it can make you feel down. You're like, okay, I love Africa.
Yeah.
I'm believing in the transformation of Africa. Africa is rising. Myself, I say that a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, Africa has risen. It is our time. This is our moment, all that. But when you go back to yourself, you're like, okay, we are struggling.
Yeah, we are.
And we have so many issues, and sometimes we complain. We're like, Africans. And you forget you are one.
Yeah.
So, according to you, what are the major issues? Let's just talk to the youth, young people. What are the things we should actually focus on changing or improving in a practical way?
Okay. So we have a lot of structural issues. So, meaning like things like governance, or where do your taxes go? How do you trade from one country to another? How do you travel from here to West Africa without spending tens of thousands of dollars? So we have a lot of structural issues, and we always say, if people, let's say for example, this is the biggest example, people in America don't need a visa to travel to other states. In America. People in Europe, in European countries, don't need a visa to travel to European countries.
They don't.
How is it so tough as Africans to travel to an African country? I still don't understand it. Why do you need
Me neither.
so many things? You need a visa, you need this, you need to travel to your own land.
And it's very expensive.
It's super expensive. And the people that you're giving, we don't even have that resource, that collective resource to travel like that. We are our own hindrance to progress. So that's one point. Another thing as well is people need to also give. So there's that comparison where you say, okay, so this, we're not like Denmark, we're not like Europe or whatever, but Africa has its own strengths, right? So we will never negate that. Africa has its own magic that other countries can never, even if they try. We just give the example of countries in East Africa, for example. One country can have snow, desert, beach, forest in one country. Other countries could never. You know what I mean? And tropical weather at that. So we have our own magic. The only issue is, most of the time, the people in power or the people governing have their own vested interests, and it compromises, the progress of the country. Okay. So since we're moving into an era where the young people now are the ones getting into power and the ones making decisions for the country and for the continent, I would advise everyone just to be very deliberate, to not be the problem that they complained about.
Yes.
So we'll still have potholes in some countries for a long time. We'll still have no water, no electricity for a while, but it's not going to be that for long. It has to start somewhere, and it's starting. Of course, there are a lot of people that are very keen on empowering people and progressing different countries. We need to really reduce on the comparisons between countries to countries, because it only goes so far. It helps with some form of competition, but that's not where it stops. It's now up to people to say, okay, let me do my part.
Yeah.
Maybe come on here, like what you're doing now is showcasing a lot of stories. Let me do my part, and then we can now lobby and help other people to really help others progress. It could be a tiny thing, like what I was saying about the book club, just giving a book to a kid who has never bought a book, read a book. That one thing can change someone's life forever. Forever. Last weekend we were in a rehabilitation school where one of the girls said she wanted to be a neurosurgeon. She's probably 11 years old.
Wow.
Doesn't even know what a neurosurgeon is, but she read what the neurosurgeon does in a book.
Wow.
You know, so it just something like that can really change someone's life. And most of us look at big ideas as what is really life changing. Yes, there are big ideas that are life changing, but it's also the tiny things, you know, here and there. So that's what I would say. We have a lot of structural issues and issues within ourselves, but we need to always remember that we are magic.
We are magic.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Georgie Ndirangu, for your
Pleasure.
time. It was such an amazing pleasure. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us. Unfortunately, time is never our friend, but this was so good. I'm always inspired when I listen to Georgie, and I enjoyed it myself. I hope you did as well. So until next time, stay healthy, your mental health. Remember, we discussed about mental health, and just don't rush. Take your time. It is well. It is well. It is well. Thank you so much, Georgie,
Thank
for your
you as
time.
well.
And I
Thank
hope
you.
to have you next time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
We have
This
a lot
is
to
nice.
talk about.
Yeah, we do. And the space looks nice as well.
Thank
so
you
nice.
so much.
Yeah,
Thank you,
perfect.
Georgie. Cheers.
Thank you.